Thank you, Kate. I echo the comments of Lisa about all of your hard work this year. It's very much appreciated. Good afternoon. It's a privilege to be here today to receive the William Trickel Jr. Award. It was so nice to have something good come out of this pandemic year. But I'm pretty sure the awards committee must have voted after a Zoom happy hour. But however it happened, I'm extremely honored to receive this award. A few days ago, I told some friends that I was a little worried because my speech is boring and not particularly funny. But thanks to Liz McCausland, I'm not worried about that anymore. Because Liz told me that everyone expects it to be boring. And no one expects it to be funny. I'm not sure if that crack was directed to me personally or to these speeches in general. But however she meant it, she let me off the hook. Anyway, I can't see you all out there in Zoom land. So I imagine that there are thousands of you out there on the edge of your seats, anxiously awaiting my sage advice for the next 45 minutes. Wait, that's 4 to 5 minutes, not 45 minutes. Sorry about that. The first thing I did to prepare was to look at the list of prior recipients. I saw my partners, Glenn Adams and Bill Wilson, esteemed judges like Judge Presnell and the Judges Kest, and other legends of the bar like Ava Doppelt and Jules Cohen. But I didn't realize until I looked at the list, the very first recipient of this award was David King. As you know, David passed away earlier this year. To all who knew him, David epitomized the term professionalism. I could not be more honored to receive an award that was first presented to him. Next, I wondered what I could say about professionalism that hasn't been said before. I concluded that if there's one topic that bears repeating, this is it. As I'm sure many of you know, surveys show that lawyers rank just above used car salesmen in popularity. Though recently, in recent years, members of Congress have been fighting us for that next to last position. This is not a fight we should try to win. We must focus on our collective level of professionalism, how we interact with each other, with our clients, and with the community at large, if we're ever going to change the perception of lawyers. Now, professionalism is often discussed in conjunction with ethics. And while both are essential to the practice of law, they aren't the same thing. The high ethical standards of a member of the bar are actually the floor. That is, they're the baseline standards that we as attorneys must meet. Professionalism, on the other hand, is the expectation that we should and will aim higher. Indeed, one can be ethical and still not be professional. We've all seen it. Sometimes this distinction leads to difficult conversations with our clients. For example, a client asks you to do something that by all measure is ethical, but it just doesn't sit right with you. You want to tell the client, nope, not going to do that, but you're worried about losing the client. My unsolicited advice, follow your gut. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. The late Whitney North Seymour Jr., past president of the American Bar Association, once commented about his practice, quote, "There never was an alternative to integrity. The idea that you would try to do things in a slippery way would just never occur to you," end quote. Let me repeat that. There's never an alternative to integrity. It only takes one unprofessional act to undo years of building a good reputation. There's no fee high enough to compensate you for that sacrifice. Now, as many of you know, I'm a big sports fan, so I'm going to offer a few different sports quotes to you today. The first is from the world of motorsports. Now, I was never much into racing. I do like to drive fast, but this is a quote that has always stood out to me. You can't win a race on the first lap, but you can definitely lose it in the first lap. Now, what we do as lawyers isn't easy. Someone once described litigation to me as surgery, except that for every stitch you're trying to sew, there's a surgeon on the other side of the table who's trying to undo the stitches that you're sewing. Now, I wouldn't begin to compare my practice to actual surgery. Nothing I deal with involves life and death decisions. But the analogy is an apt one. Litigation is difficult and stressful. Often our clients have very strong feelings towards their opposition, and they want their lawyers to feel the same way. But we as lawyers do not need to exacerbate those already negative emotions. As cliched as it may be, we need to rise above the fray and remember that we're all part of the same profession. As Shakespeare said in The Taming of the Shrew, do as adversaries do in law, strive mightily, but eat and drink as friends. In many ways, I feel as though I've been learning the lessons of professionalism all of my life. For elementary and middle school, I attended St. John's Episcopal Day School, where a student in each grade was awarded a Diligence Award for working hard, being on time, and respecting others. Being diligent was one of the first ways I learned to be professional. And luckily for me, talking too much was not a disqualifying criteria. Otherwise, I would have had to forfeit the award in the 2nd grade. I also learned about professionalism through my involvement in sports, both as an athlete and as manager of the men's basketball team at Duke University. Sportsmanship is professionalism by another name. Win or lose, how you react to your opponent after a game will show your true character. One of my favorite memories as a Duke manager, aside from receiving my national championship ring, was meeting the legendary coach, John Wooden. Coach Wooden once said, quote, "Be more concerned with your character than your reputation, because your character is what you really are, while your reputation is merely what others think you are," end quote. These words apply not only on the court, but also in court. You can't always control how people will view you, but you can absolutely control your own behavior. My education and professionalism continued at the 2 firms where I practiced during my career, McGuire, Boys & Wells, and Holland & Knight. In Holland & Knight, Chesterfield Smith was known for his booming voice, his dedication to the rule of law, and his genuine love of lawyers. His mantra was do good, be somebody. At McGuire, Raymond McGuire Jr. spoke often of his view that every lawyer in this community needed to pay their civic rent. By that, he meant we all utilize the resources of the community in which we live, and therefore it's imperative that we give back. And as lawyers, we are uniquely situated to do so. We can give through civic involvement, pro bono legal services, community engagement, and financial contributions. Now, even with all of these lessons on professionalism, no one has taught me more than my dad and law partner, Leonard Gilbert. During his 60 years practicing law, he served as president of the Hillsborough County Bar and the Florida Bar. He's chaired several sections of the American Bar Association and is set to join the Board of Governors this year, and chaired various civic and community boards, all while delivering excellent service to his clients. He was even more dedicated to our family, always making sure he didn't miss recitals and ball games, even if it meant sitting in the stands with a file and a yellow legal pad. He set a high bar with his love of the law, collegiality, and professionalism, and I couldn't have asked for a better role model. Now, if you aren't tired of the sports references, and since I can't see you, I'm going to assume you aren't, I've got one more for you. A few weeks ago, I attended the Arnold Palmer Invitational at Bay Hill. It was a fabulous tournament on a gorgeous weekend in Central Florida. And around the course were signs with some of Mr. Palmer's quotes, including one that stood out to me. Play boldly, act kindly. Mr. Palmer was known for many things, but most of all for his sportsmanship. And there's no better display of sportsmanship than the conclusion of a golf round. Players remove their hats, look each other in the eye, and shake hands. Or during a pandemic, fist bump. There's a winner and a loser, but in the end, there's respect. So I commend Mr. Palmer's words to you. Play boldly in your practice. Zealously represent your clients, but always, always act with civility. When the case is over, look each other in the eye, shake hands, and show respect for your opposition, regardless of whether you won or lost. In closing, I'd like to thank my colleagues at Holland & Knight and McGuire, Boys & Wells for teaching me how to be a lawyer. And most importantly, I'd like to thank my parents for the examples they have set and for all of the opportunities they've given me. Last, I'd like to thank the Orange County Bar for recognizing me with this award. It means more to me than you know. Thank you.